What the heck is going on here? Oh my god. I'm only here for my... I'm only here because of my commitments. Because of the contract. The huge marriage contract. Yo, Elon Musk is gonna get... Elon Musk is getting briefed on the war with China. Nice. Therefore, China is getting briefed. China's getting briefed on a war with China. Can I have a quick explainer for the Ezra Klein thing? Like, the Ezra Klein abundance thing. I need a quick little explainer for what everyone's talking about. Thank you for dropping likes on the stream. I had a thought earlier. Wait, let me get something up about this actually. Because I do feel like it's worth going over quick. Because there's different approaches to... Is there like a YouTube video about it? Let me ask a ChatGPT for a summary. Let's see. Alright. Give me a summary of Ezra Klein abundance. How do you spell abundance, dude? I know how to spell it. Don't tell me. Don't tell me how. Meow. Meow. Why did I meow, dude? Why did I meow? I hit the wrong button. Wait, what's the abundance? Who made the book? Does he have a... Distributing things fairly, I see that. Does anyone know the central point of the abundance thing that's been talked about? I am out of the loop. Is there a thing about that? Is there a podcast? There's a liberal answer to Elon Musk.
Democrats have a problem that runs deeper than the...
Okay, my big thing I said earlier, I think it's really funny that progressives after the election are doing huge events, organizing people all across America, and liberals, which I'm not super far left, I'm really not, but liberals are like having thought experiments and doing, I don't know, think pieces. They're doing think pieces about the election, while progressives are actually organizing. I think it is an interesting dichotomy there.
2024 election. They have a problem that runs deeper than Elon Musk's assault on the government. Look at the places they govern. Strongholds like New York and Illinois and where I'm from, California. They're losing people.
Since the pandemic started, California is seeing an exodus, a mass exodus.
In 2023, California saw a net loss of 268,000 residents. In New York, 179,000.
New York City is losing some folks, right, some residents, but it turns out that New York State is also seeing the population drop.
And in Illinois,
Illinois residents have been fleeing the state at an alarming rate.
The state's population has been in decline for the 10th year in a row.
Why are all these people leaving? In surveys, the dominant reason is simply this: the cost of living is too high. It is too expensive to get childcare.
It's almost like paying another mortgage.
It is too expensive to buy a home.
Very unrealistic to be able to put a down payment on a $2 million home with 2 kids surviving.
You end up having to live too far from your work. And so they're going to places where all of that is cheaper.
Every day, someone is moving to the Florida area.
She got an apartment 3 times the size of the one she had in Manhattan. Plus, there's a wraparound debt.
Yeah, I can definitely understand.
Go get that, 4-bedroom, 3-bath house I had in Texas.
Yeah.
I know these families. These families are my friends. I've lived with them in these places, and I've watched many of them move away from the place they love, the city they wanted to raise their children, because they could not afford to live there. You cannot be the party of working families when the places you govern are places working families cannot afford to live. You are not the party of working families when the places you govern are places working families cannot afford to live.
Okay, it sounds cool, all right, and perception is reality in this situation, how people perceive your policies and whatever. But like under Joe Biden, working class wages hit an all-time high, adjusted for inflation in America. Unions came back stronger than they've been probably in 50 years. And when we talk about the working class, it's a cultural thing. It's a cultural divide. People support Trump right now because of immigration, because they're happy to see brown people being thrown out of America, largely. There are economic issues we need to solve, because if Democrats and progressives and whoever on the left wants to get power in politics, we need to do good policies for people. Republicans divide people, we bring people together. They don't care about solving problems. They just make people fight each other, and when people fight each other, they crash the systems because it helps their friends make more money, all the billionaires. But saying that the Democrats are not the party of the working class, the policies are more working class focused by far than Republicans. But Democrats need to compensate more for policy because they're not going to hit culturally. They're not going to hit culturally because they're not going to be angry about race issues. They're going to have to defend minority groups, including LGBT plus issues. So like saying it's as simple as, oh, it's expensive to live in these areas, therefore Democrats are not the party of the working class. The working class that rejects Democrats is not exactly the urban working class. And by urban, I mean literally living in cities. The working class that really came out, the low propensity voters for Donald Trump, did not come from cities necessarily. It really was a big suburban shift and also a rural shift. You look at Hispanic voters who are moving pretty strongly towards Trump. The Hispanic population in rural America is also growing. So like it's a very, and I'm from a rural area, which is why Democrats need to hire me, but it's just so much more complicated than this.
Families, when the places you govern are places working families cannot afford to live. In the American political system, to lose people is to lose power. If these trends hold, the 2030 census will shift the Electoral College sharply to the right. The states that Kamala Harris won in 2024 will lose House seats and Electoral College votes. The states that Trump won will...
Yeah, but I mean, backing your legal system or constitution is a social and cultural movement largely. Molding the underpinnings of society matter more than just simple policy or making the conditions better. When you move the moral foundation to a more, I guess, neighborly perspective or inclination, then people will support policies that are better for everyone, and you'll be able to govern. So, like right now, I think Democrats need a compelling narrative to stand behind. And talking about this in terms of whoever has the people can have political power, you know, that's true. But if the dumb propaganda is going to win out on podcasts, that dumb propaganda is going to win regardless of your housing policy. All the policies Democrats can pass, I don't know, perfect healthcare, perfect defense, have 0% crime rate, and if they have no messaging structure, Democrats can do things, and Republicans will take credit for all of it. Republicans will take credit for literally everything if Democrats cannot message. And that's a really big point to this. And as a politician, it's your job to message effectively.
Will gain them. So in that Electoral College, a Democrat could win every single state Harris won in 2024, and also win Michigan and Pennsylvania and Wisconsin, and still lose the presidency. There is a policy failure haunting blue states. It has become too hard to build and too expensive to live in the places where Democrats govern. Our politics is split right now between a left that defends government even when it doesn't work, and a right that wants to destroy government even when it is working. What we need is a political party that actually makes government work. Democrats can be that party. They should be that party. But it requires them to confront what they have done to make government fail.
The government objectively worked better under Biden. Okay, objectively it worked better. And it's just like, again, you need a stronger, more compelling message. This sounds great to people who read New York Times and make the New York Times pages sticky. You know, they read them so much. Their brains, you know, the information sticks to their brains. That's what I mean by that. You know, but in terms of a larger cultural movement, there's a reason why people like this don't really, they're not really successful in these different eras of politics that are more populist centered, where people want to hear anger and all that kind of stuff. It's like, okay, let's make the government work better. Well, Joe Biden was one of the least popular presidents of all time leaving office, and he objectively did policies to make government better. Far better than Republicans did. But people don't feel that impact until it affects them directly. So I still think this is a really reductive way to look at this.
I could tell you a dozen stories. In my new book, I do. But let me tell you here just one.
My new book, dude.
In 1982, So more than 40 years ago, California Governor Jerry Brown signed a bill to study what it would take to build a high-speed rail system across the state.
Make a choice. Change the chemistry of the country.
He liked what he saw, and so did California's voters. In 1996, California formed a high-speed rail authority to plan for construction. High-speed rail is not some futuristic technology like nuclear fusion or flying cars. Japan broke ground on high-speed rail back in 1959. You can ride on these trains elsewhere. I have ridden on these trains. So in 2008, California's voters approved Prop 1A, which set aside $10 billion to begin construction on a high-speed rail line that would connect Los Angeles and San Francisco.
Yeah, Americans really don't realize how much better infrastructure is in Europe. Europeans, and I'd even include Canadians, they live like 8 years longer on average than Americans do. Yeah, they have really good public infrastructure there. But I would say America suffers from, of course, the scarcity mentality. So, we have to zero-sum game. I'm pretty sure he's going to bring that up in this video. But also, culturally speaking, Americans are not the people to care about one another. They're not the people to trust coming together collectively for big projects that can benefit all. American culture is largely predicated on cars and suburbs. People want to be in the suburbs to not be bothered by people. They want to have cars so they don't need to ride next to someone on the subway. Europeans are just more collective-minded. It's probably because they have higher rates of education. It's probably because they've gone through more as a people, as a country. Europe has gone through a lot more than America has in terms of modern conflict. We have not had one of the huge wars on our soil yet. So
it would run through the Central Valley. It would get there in under 2 hours and 40 minutes. And it would cost, they thought, $33.6 billion. California's high-speed rail authority estimated.
And you're still not going to get through the issue that private interests are largely one of the issues here, okay? You need a government that can say, okay, you have a private interest here. And they do this with highways, by the way. When they build highways, if there's an Amish community in the middle of a proposed highway network, they're going to make those people move or just like build a highway right next to where they live. So they already do that, but it really is private interests that have a lot of money. If you want to build up a high-speed rail system, it's going to be hard to get that approved for many different reasons.
We'd be able to ride that train by the year 2020. And the news kept getting better for high-speed rail. In 2009, President Barack Obama signed the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act into law. That had hundreds of billions of dollars to build the infrastructure of the future, and high-speed rail in particular had captured Obama's imagination.
Imagine boarding a train in the center of a city. No racing to an airport and across a terminal, no delays, no sitting on the tarmac, no lost luggage, no taking off your shoes. Now, all of you know this is not some fanciful pie-in-the-sky vision of...
Obama really did drop the ball as president. I'm not going to lie. He really did miss a lot of policy windows. He really did miss a lot of opportunities to push more policies that he ran on to make it very apparent what he did in government. The ACA is a mess. It is a mess. Obviously, getting rid of it would be much worse, but it is a system that's a mess. And my big thing with policy and campaigning is not necessarily that policy is going to win elections, but the policies you have and the interests you have is going to restrict what you can advocate for. So that's why a progressive politician will be more aggressive when it comes to taxing the ultra-wealthy, or when it comes to saying we need a system past Obamacare or the Affordable Care Act. And like if you look at liberal politicians and the way they campaign, it's far less aggressive, largely because it's hard to make an aggressive message out of let's maintain the current structures and go back to what we had a few years ago and make it slightly better. It's hard to message off of that, So if we talk about these bold change policies, it doesn't need to be Medicare for all, but it needs to be something that is an improvement. And it's not like we don't have models all around the world for every healthcare system humanly imaginable. But our politicians are limited in their messaging by the policies and by the interest groups they are tied to. That is a big issue that holds Democratic politicians back. And until they can take a full messaging stance saying we are going to build this for the good of America, and if you don't want to do this, then we're going to primary you. Not authoritarian wise like Trump, not bypassing any constitution checks and balances. Do it completely legally. But make it a point that we want to do this for the American people, and these individuals are standing in the way. but it's hard to do that when you're I don't know, like what happened to all this
of the future. It is now. It is happening right now. It's been happening for decades. The problem is it's been happening elsewhere, not here.
Obama wanted it to happen here. And California, where the voters had already begun planning and funding high-speed rail, was the obvious place. And the political stars had just kept aligning. High-speed rail's foremost champion returned.
And the most expensive campaign in California history.
When Jerry Brown won back the governor's mansion almost 30 years after leaving it.
Now, 30 years later, we're within weeks of a revised business plan that will enable us to begin initial construction before the year is out.
But it didn't happen.
Build initial construction before the year is out.
By 2018, it was brutally clear that nothing was going to be rideable by 2020. And the cost estimate, it wasn't $33 billion anymore. It had risen and risen and risen. By 2018, it was $76 billion.
Next level, let's level about the high-speed rail.
The next year, 2019, Gavin Newsom, who had served as Brown's lieutenant governor, succeeded him as governor.
Right now, there simply isn't a path to get from Sacramento to San Diego, let alone from San Francisco to LA. I wish there were. However, we do have the capacity.
Okay, we had the Great Recession happen in 2008, obviously. The planning, the routing is hard, and also, construction over private land was an issue, legal issues, land acquisitions, eminent domain, bureaucratic delays. But again, if you talk to a voter, they'll probably say, oh, well, the government doesn't work. The government's not efficient. But the truth is, the government's not efficient because private interests do not allow the government to be at its full potential. So with the rail system here, private interests are to blame for why it was not built. The same with solving the homeless issue. Private interests prevent public money from being effective. They create a governmental system where dollars are less effective in government and more effective in the private system, although the private system sucks at this kind of stuff. And they want to privatize like Amtrak right now, which is terrible. But if you have a bunch of private property owners that want to hold back the good of society, hold back the progression of society, America lets that happen. Europe is more aggressive. Europe is more regulatory in a sense of protecting regular people and in a sense of having private entities do things that are more beneficial for the overall society. Legally, of course, through law, but they're not as captured by big money as America is.
To complete a high-speed rail link between Merced and Bakersfield.
Merced and Bakersfield, a line no one would have authorized if it had been the plan that was presented in the first place. The latest estimate just for that line is $35 billion, as much as the entire LA to SF line was estimated to cost in 2008. And even this Merced and Bakersfield line, it's not predicted to begin carrying passengers until sometime between 2030 and 2033, if all goes well. I'm told now that finishing the LA to San Francisco line would cost $110 billion at least. California doesn't have anywhere near that kind of funding for high-speed rail. So they're building what they can right now with no idea of how they're ever going to finish.
Yeah, state funding is an issue. That's why you need federal funding for these things, of course. And states spend a lot of money on federal taxes. So if California and New York wanted to keep federal money, they could not do that for these purposes, although they produce a lot of tax revenue. But yeah, you would need like the grants you have through, or not grants, but like awards or whatever it's called, through infrastructure programs and infrastructure projects and infrastructure laws like Biden got done to help states do rail like this, and then more encouragement for projects such as Amtrak to expand. That would be the no-brainer thing to do, but there's so many different issues here. But remember, whenever there's a failure in government, Democrats, aren't perfect, and Democrats do bad things, but Republicans are always the ones making government suck. They want to kill government, so they make government fail so people don't like it. Republicans are always the blame. There's not one thing you could bring up in American history where Republicans made the government better, other than when Republicans were progressives like Teddy Roosevelt, and he did trust busting.
What went so wrong here? In October of 2023, I went to...
Thank you so much for $5, Bucky. Everyone drop a like on the stream. Thank you for joining me. Drop a like if I put this on YouTube. I don't know if I will. I think it's an important conversation. You could call into the stream too in like 5 minutes when I'm done watching this video. But thank you for joining me.
To Fresno, California.
For a little bit.
And what I heard as I walked that track with the engineers who have built it and the people overseeing it, it wasn't engineering problems. It was political problems. There are parts of the high-speed rail line that intersect with freight rail lines. But the freight rail lines, they're so busy in the holiday season that some impose a construction moratorium from October to December. So in those areas, construction just stops for months every year. Why did the authority begin construction in the Central Valley rather than near the megacities? Well, one reason was that when California applied for federal money, the Obama administration wanted bids that would improve air quality in poor communities. And so the $3 billion the federal government offered, it wasn't really to build high-speed rail. It was to begin building high-speed rail in ways that addressed air pollution in specific communities. The Central Valley is poor and more polluted than coastal California. So federal funding went there, and so did the initial construction. But that made it less likely high-speed rail would generate the ridership, the political support, or the...
See, that's an issue, but also, again, the funding would be much larger. If you look up the bills that allow that, or that allocate that funding, again, it's still conservatives that make sure these projects fail. That low amount of funding is only available because of conservatives, because liberals would spend a lot more money on infrastructure programs that benefit, all people and the public, for public goods. We had that issue with the LA fires as well. Everyone said the LA fires, the budget was cut, bro. The budget was cut. Mayor Bass and the Democrats cut the fire budget before the fire, and it's their fault the fire got so bad. And it's like, bro, you realize that Republicans wanted to cut the budget in half from what it was, and Democrats had to fight to keep it where it's at. Like, you realize under Republican rule, they cut the budget in half, and they probably make a private firefighting force that only covers rich people's, it's all rich people there, but rich people's houses, private forces instead. But yeah, it's one of those things where Democrats get blamed either way. But if Republicans were in charge, the issue would have been 20 times worse.
The financial backing to ever actually finish. And that, of course, is bad for air pollution in Fresno and across the state.
Thank you so much for the donation. Thank you. Thank you for everything you do. Thank you. Everyone say Kit Kat in chat. Thank you.
Trains are cleaner than cars, but high-speed rails had to clear every inch of its route through environmental reviews, with lawsuits lurking around every corner. The environmental review process began in 2012.
And I also do agree that Democrats need to do shovel-ready projects more so things get built quicker. We have a lot of issues with that. But yeah, I don't know. It's tough. You don't really have a mandate to do that unless if you campaign harder. That's kind of what I mean about this whole thing. You don't really have the political capital to move the system that much. Someone said the end of freedom. I don't know, bro. Yeah, it's not the end of freedom for you, dumbass. You're a privileged ass white boy. I actually love you. I don't care about. I don't talk about race like that. I was just channeling my inner Jasmine Crockett, who I love. But also, it is true. You could say freedom's the end of freedom. I don't know, bro. Like, yeah, you're a privileged D-head. Like, of course, you think freedom's not being attacked. We have innocent people that America sold into slavery in El Salvador, and no one cares because you're a bunch of dumbass memers who just want to laugh at people getting deported. It's not even a deportation. We have innocent people sent to slavery, and you're saying they're all gang members. They're not all gang members, explicitly. And they violated constitutional rights to do it. They violated due process to do it, and you guys don't care. So yeah, that professional soccer player, the tattoo artist, and the handful of others, the few dozen other innocent people we sent to slavery in El Salvador, a for-profit forced labor prison camp, super prison, forced labor prison camp, slavery. We sent them there, innocent people. You don't care.
And by 2024, 12 years later, it still wasn't done. What has taken so long on high-speed rail is not hammering nails or pouring concrete.
Good morning, all. Welcome to the California High-Speed Rail Finance and Audit Committee meeting.
It's process. It's negotiating.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
I'd like to go over some important information for members.
I'm sorry, but liberals talk like this, bro. Liberals talk like this. Progressives don't. Progressives are more like, okay, let's get to the point. Let's do this for the people. Liberals are the ones doing all the meetings with all the consultants before they move a finger. Like, I'm sorry, but...
The public speakers will be called upon in the order that their hands are raised.
Good morning. Elmer Lizardi here on behalf of the California Labor Federation.
The International Brotherhood of Boilermakers.
So my question is, why do we have to wait almost a whole year later to find out that they're not in compliance?
Negotiating with courts, with funders, with business owners, with homeowners, with farm owners, with other parts of the government. Those negotiations cost time, which costs money. Those negotiations lead to changes in the route, or the design, or the construction, and that costs money, and that costs time.
So what is he going to say? Is he going to say more federal more, federal jurisdiction to override that kind of stuff, or I don't know, more state jurisdiction to override all the interest groups.
Those negotiations are the product of decades of liberal policies meant to protect against government abuses. And they may do that,
sure,
but they also prevent government from building quickly.
But they don't prevent, preventing government abuses and preventing abuse of government by private entities is such a stark contrast, because liberals have made the government more susceptible to corruption in the same way Republicans have, to a lesser extent for sure, and liberals at least regulate the big banks a little bit, especially after 2008 and other financial crises, and liberals will trust bust and bust monopolies, and make sure there's less corruption in the US. But there still are loopholes in the system because of big money influence that liberals put into it. So I'm sorry, maybe I'm not a liberal. I don't know.
More affordably. In the time California has spent failing to complete its 500-mile high-speed rail system, China has built more than 23,000 miles of high-speed rail. The Chinese government doesn't spend years debating with judges over whether it needs to move a storage facility. Its power leads to abuse and imperiousness. It also leads to trains.
Okay, dumbass guy in chat again. If the president can just say that person is illegal and that person is a terrorist with no backing, with no evidence, and you could put them in a van and ship them on a plane to El Salvador to do forced labor in a prison camp with no record of their name, with no due process, they can do that to anyone. That's taking away constitutional rights from every person. And if you look at the history of laws like that and presidents that do that, they end up using it against U.S. citizens that disagree with them. We're already deporting people if they make mean comments about Trump. So this is bigger than what you're saying. And by the way, saying that there are 8 to 30 million slaves in Central Africa, dude, in America, we have a constitution and due process. If you want to live in China, if you want to live in Russia, if you want to live in Hungary or El Salvador, move there. Don't bring their political systems here or their legal systems here. That's how you get a dictatorship. I know you dumbasses don't understand that. You're like, no one's immune to it. It's not a world you want to live in. We don't want to give the government that much authoritarian power. That is true authoritarianism, what you're advocating for.
And look, I don't want America to be...
And it's not like hard. And roundups? Well, what kind of country? It's 2025. The guy had a Real Madrid tattoo, and they said that was a gang tattoo, bro. Real Madrid. They think it's a gang tattoo. Sell him into slavery. America doesn't do that shit. At least we shouldn't. We shouldn't be cheering it on. When George W. Bush was doing shit like this, he had to hide it. But now Americans are okay with it because Trump does it. If George W. Bush is doing the same shit, it's Guantanamo Bay, which we did torture innocent people there too that got swept up in so-called roundups. But also George Bush had to hide that because the American people were not savage idiots at that time. And now apparently American people are okay with that. The same justification that Trump wants to use to deny court orders is the exact justification that Adolf Hitler used to suspend the Constitution in Germany. I'm not making a Hitler comparison because Trump says mean things. I'm not making a Hitler comparison because I don't like Trump. Objectively, they're using the same legal framework to say that Trump has the ability to override checks and balances in the government if he deems it a national emergency and wartime powers at any time. That's the same justification Adolf Hitler used to shut down the Constitution in Germany before he took autocratic totalitarian control. Objectively, that's how he did it, through the legal means of the system. He was able to pound the legal system to a point where they let him suspend the Constitution. And Trump has already called to suspend the Constitution in his 2020 election loss.
To become China. But I do want it to be able to build trains, as China can, as Europe can, as Japan can.
Step in! Train doors are closing, step all the way in!
The Second Avenue subway project in New York City.
This is the first major expansion of the New York City subway in more than 50 years.
It was the most expensive subway project by kilometer the world has ever seen. Has New York dramatically reformed its policies to make the next one easier and cheaper?
Ladies and gentlemen,
liberals are boring.
Next stop, 125th Street.
That comes with a $6.3 billion price tag, far more than phase one.
No, of course it hasn't.
Do you remember the Big Dig?
What is the Big Dig?
The Big Dig!
It's pretty hard to ignore the Big Dig. It is everywhere.
Did the decades of delay and the billions of cost overruns on Boston's Big Dig change how Massachusetts builds? Not really. California. California has the worst housing problem in the country. In 2022, the state had 12% of the country's population.
Well, here's the big thing too. People in America, they make these arguments such as, Yeah, liberals are boring. That's why liberals lose, because Trump is exciting and you guys are stupid, and you like exciting people instead of people that know shit, because people that know shit are boring. But like for example, yeah, black sites, Josh, you're correct. But yeah, the arguments I see in chat are, you know, you're weird. Showing up legally is important, and you know the people that got sent into slavery, you know, they were going through the legal asylum process, so you're wrong there as well. But you think every person that's not white is illegal because you're racist. And until you prove that you're not racist, if you keep saying shit like that, I'm gonna say, okay. Here's my big thing. I'm not someone that uses the word racist to I think it's terrible optics to call someone racist, because people will say like, oh, you call everyone racist. I'm not someone who calls everyone racist. But if you're gonna continue saying they should have came in legally, when we say for a fact we sold people into slavery who came seeking legal asylum through the legal process, and with no due process, they were sold to an El Salvador huge max prison complex, forced labor, okay, a for-profit prison. And the reason people were sent is because they were from the wrong nationality and they had tattoos. One of them had a Real Madrid tattoo, a soccer tattoo, and he made rock on hands. Like, you know, rock, you know, with your two fingers. I don't want to do it on screen, but you know when you say like rock on, he made those hands on social media. They said he's part of a gang, put him on a plane, sold him into slavery. That violates our constitution. It violates due process. It violates freedom in general. If they can say, you know, if the president can just deem someone a terrorist and a national emergency or a threat or like a threat to national security, he can do that with literally anyone. And if you're going to keep on saying they should have came legally, do actual research into our laws, or talk to someone that knows their shit. Because the more you keep on saying, well, they're all gang members anyway, I'm going to call you racist for that. I don't give a shit if you say the N-word when you rap along to rap lyrics. I give a shit if your bias is that bad, where you'll see the Constitution and our legal foundation of this country being torn apart because you have no sympathy for black or brown people. That's where the true racism comes in. That's where it comes in. You have no sympathy for people that don't look like you. Here, you can call. If someone tried calling, you can call if you're still here. The person that tried calling. Someone said that's not true. Yeah, because you watch biased news sources. Yeah, unironically. They say every single person in America is illegal. I mean, we're detaining people who are visa holders because they insulted Trump. So, pretty cool. Scott Perry's a freaking cool guy, dude. Scott Perry's a cool guy. My least favorite thing about conservatives is you can show them the truth and they'll just like be like, no, that's not true, bro. Where'd you get that from? CNN? And you'll be like, no, it's the legal document. And be like, what, CNN's legal document now? God damn! Do. Okay, so God, dude, I know it's a bad PR thing, but we gotta say what the truth is. It's bad for I know it's bad for PR because people get offended, but if you think this is okay, you are probably racist because you have no sympathy for other people that don't look like you and that don't talk like you and whatever else. So this person was protesting the authoritarian rule of Maduro in Venezuela, okay? At one of the demonstrations, he was detained and taken to a building where he was tortured with electric shocks and suffocation, okay, with other protesters. When he got out, he escaped, and he escaped to America, seeking legal asylum, going through the proper process. Now, he was deported to El Salvador with no notice, no legal counsel, no due process, no notice to the family, just disappeared to a for-profit prison hard labor camp, which is literally slavery. the definition of slavery. This person was a professional soccer player in Venezuela. He was never arrested or charged with a crime. He has a steady employment record as a soccer player, and he coaches soccer for children and the youth. Now at a maximum security prison, a for-profit prison, into slavery, accused of being a gang member for Trendeo Aragua. The accusation now, the information we have now, because they provided none, the accusation was founded off of tattoos he had. One tattoo, which is a Real Madrid tattoo. And another example being a pose that he made on social media. And the pose are, like I said before, the hands that mean rock on. If you hear this entire story, and if you hear the story about the tattoo artist who fled from Venezuela for, who's gay and wanted to get out of Venezuela because of their authoritarian dictator. Okay? If you hear those stories of legal asylum seekers doing everything right, supporting communities they live in, working hard, doing the legal process, and our government, our president, said screw the Constitution, screw due process, screw the court orders, and they're laughing their asses off as they send innocent people to hardcore labor camps, death camps, essentially. They'll be worked until they're malnourished, and then they'll be executed, most likely. If they're not productive enough, they will be executed because they are now in slavery. Innocent people. And what they want you to do, what the White House and Trump and everyone in this picture is relying on, is the fact that your brain is closed, that you have no independent thought, and that your preconceived bias about people that look a certain way or talk a certain way, they are betting on you being, I don't use this word very often, racist. Just fearful of others in general. Don't even use the word racist. You're being a bad person. They're betting on you to shut down every good part of your soul, every good part of your brain. They're betting on the American people to turn away from people who are suffering and to actively use our tax dollars to deny due process to people, call them gang members, say they deserve it, and send them and sell them into slavery. You got to take the mask off eventually. Either you stand against this or you support it. There is no in between. There is no in between. And you have to understand, by this same legal justification, the Trump administration made the claim that once you're over international water, there's no more legal jurisdiction from the U.S. anymore. So if there's a U.S. citizen outside of our borders, is there no more jurisdiction where they're protected by our Constitution, by due process? By their standards, they can accuse you of being a national security threat. They can accuse you. So if you ever have an issue, if you ever have a disagreement with King Trump, they can accuse you of being a terrorist sympathizer. They can accuse you of being a national security threat. And under their current powers, they essentially are dictators. And they can just say, you're a threat, we're going to ship you off to a labor camp in El Salvador. The Constitution, rights like the First Amendment, Fifth Amendment, Sixth Amendment, they do apply to people in the U.S., visa holders. Those who are seeking asylum. Those same constitutional rights apply for them. It's the same amount of illegal. It's the same amount of lawlessness to avoid the court orders, to ignore the court orders, as it would be to do this to an American citizen. And by the way, the court said turn that plane around because they knew there'd be irreparable harm to the people on that plane. That they'd be in a for-profit prison camp, forced labor into slavery. And all the conservatives, all the Trumpers are laughing about it, bragging about it, just jolly, just super jolly about sending people who are fleeing persecution. They're happy that America's becoming these shitty countries. They're happy America's devolving to a lawless nation that punches down on the weak. They're happy America's transforming into these shitty countries that takes away freedom from people. They're happy America's going towards a dictatorship. They're happy America is throwing out people because they just want to see something happen. They enjoy the violence. They enjoy the power fantasies they have. And they're falling victim to this propaganda that's molding their brains in a primitive way to be okay with this brutal violence. And I know conservatives defend the January 6th pardons. He can pardon all the cop eaters. I mean, Trump can do that. They're political prisoners. They were in prison far too long. Who cares if cops died and lost eyeballs and lost fingers? Who cares if Trump said on camera or on video or on a recording he would just like grab women and he's held civilly liable for, like he's was found liable for rape. Who cares? You know, he says some things. He may be denying the Constitution and calling everything illegal and just bypassing due process and doing everything our founding fathers hated about kings that our country tried getting away from. You know, he might do those things, but you still like him. You still enjoy him because he's entertaining. He can easily, the woke mind virus they talk about, they can easily just shift your brain to do and think whatever they want you to do and whatever they want you to think. It's really sad state of affairs. And you wonder how people get lied into wars like Vietnam or Iraq and Afghanistan. You wonder how Americans get lied into these conflicts so easily. It's because you guys are so easy to trick. You're so easy to trick. And I really hope you stop doing that because it's going to come back and it's going to hurt you eventually. It should be hurting you already. I don't know what kind of person would be okay with this. But you can keep on just putting your fingers in your ears and going, I can't hear you, I can't hear you. But when you wake up, God is going to judge. Only God has that power. EA is going to bring back loot boxes? No. Trump is bringing back EA loot boxes. Why would he do that? You say you've seen the infamous P tape. Oh. Yeah, it's called a I don't know. Thank you for the donation. Well, Jesus would have been denied a lot of things. I was thinking about the depiction of Jesus typically, because in the Bible, I'm pretty sure Paul, is he Paul here? Like, my big question is, why are all the depictions of Jesus so damn pretty? Why do they make Jesus so freaking pretty in all the depictions? Why does he have effeminate hair? You know, why is he so dang pretty? Why are his eyes so cute? Why does he have such, you know, interesting shadows around his eyes and beautiful eyebrows? And, you know, why are his lips pursed like that? Like, why is Jesus so pretty? Why does he have long hair? The Bible, I'm pretty sure, says it's like a disgrace to yourself to have long hair. And I'm like, really just thinking, like, why are all these depictions so damn pretty? Why is he so beautiful? Is Jesus non-binary? I don't know. Why is he so dang pretty in all the depictions? Why does he have makeup on? I'm trying to, like, seriously, he has blush on in all these pictures. In every depiction of Jesus you can find historically, he looks beautiful. I mean, here he looks a little less beautiful, but, like, it's still a different art form. But he really does have, like, why do they depict Jesus as being so feminine and so pretty and, like, that beautiful smile and the long hair again? I mean, this is more accurate. This is, I mean, he's still, you know, this is the, you know, this is a more accurate one. Is this the, when was this generated? Interesting. This person said Jesus came in her dreams. That's nice. See, that's an actor, right? He's pretty though. Aw, look at the little lamb. That's so cute. Man, look at the dang, dude. He's cute. He's a good-looking guy. Good-looking guy. Look at those eyes. I'm telling you, bro. Why is he so dang cute in all these pictures? Is that Moist Critical? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Interesting. I'm just curious. That's not Jesus, that's white Jesus. But still, the depiction of Jesus is going to be based on the culture, right? So, like, why do Americans make Jesus so pretty? Is my question. Like, I'm pretty sure, like, I don't know. Because in my understanding, did Jesus have long hair? Does anything in the Bible say he has long hair? Or are they trying to make him, like, ambiguous when it comes to gender because God was? I mean, that's an argument people use. Now, this is what someone would say be biblically, or at least, like, accurate for the region. right? Something like that. I was just thinking about this earlier. Like, why is Jesus always such a pretty guy? He's just a pretty guy. I don't know. He was very empathetic. You know, he said, love your enemies and love everyone. Talk to those who are cast aside from society. The Bible notably does not mention trans people. So maybe Jesus does love trans people, you know? I think he would. I think Jesus would love trans people, you know? I just think, and gay people. I think he would. Like, name one time Jesus said anything against gay people. Like, name one time Jesus said anything. Name one time Jesus said anything against gay people. It's a projection of his purity and love. Yeah, that makes sense, but then it kind of goes against the masculine part of it. Because if you think about Jesus compared to, like, Old Testament depictions of God, Jesus is very effeminate. Like, Jesus weeps. Jesus, you know, shows extreme emotion and understanding for other people. He is very worldly compared to what God is in the Old Testament. So it's really interesting to why is a pitch? Okay, I think we're getting down the YouTube or the Google search too far. But regardless, it's interesting. Why would anyone care about some fudge-packing sinner leftist opinion on Jesus? You don't know anything. You know what? I have not given an opinion on Jesus. I'm just saying he looks pretty in all the pictures. You know? I know Jesus more than you do. Jesus does love gay people, but he hates their sin. I doubt it. Jesus never said anything about gay people, by the way. Jesus himself never said anything about gay people. Find one thing Jesus said about gay people. Guarantee you Jesus did not. Now, did someone in the Bible? Maybe. That's up for debate. But Jesus never did. Have you read the Bible or biblical accounts? Yeah. And I agree with things Jesus says. I don't care what Paul says, or I don't care what anyone else says in the Bible. I care about what Jesus says. Jesus said man is... Oh, you're getting so mad. You're getting so sad. He would love trans people and gay people. Well, J.D. Vance says that Jesus only loved people in his close proximity, and then he showed, then he showed deference towards other people. After that, though, you know, Jesus said he loved his nation first. Although Jesus transcends borders, Jesus did not believe in nations, by the way, because you would not believe in nations or be a supremacist. Like, if you're a nationalist, you're essentially saying that you need to listen to whatever your country, like, you need to be okay with everything, regardless of anything. And like, Jesus would not say that nations would transcend any other kind of like adherence to biblical teachings or morality. Can you imagine Jesus was actually ugly? The real message is beauty is on the inside. His described to be like wool, his hair. Jesus was a pro DEI progressive. King James's son. What did King James's son look like? And why would that make any sense? Oh, well, that's even more funny though, because you can see like culturally in different areas of the world where Christianity is understood completely differently. Black Jesus original poster. That's on Etsy if you want to buy it, by the way. Religion wiki. Fandom. Ooh, there's a Jesus wiki. Jesus of Nazareth, also known as Jesus Christ, is a central figure of Christianity, which views him as the Messiah foretold in the Old Testament, with most Christian denominations believing him to be Son of God, who was raised from the dead. Islam considers Jesus a prophet and also Messiah. Several other religions revere him in some way. He is one of the most influential figures in human history. Wow. The Gospels. Oh. Interesting. Wow. He did a lot of stuff. Jewish focus. What did he say about Jewish people? Where's Jewish focus at? There you go. Ooh, nice. One must become childlike to enter the kingdom of God. Interesting. What does that mean? One must become childlike to enter the kingdom of God. Is that why people are reverting back to like being kids again? The lore. Yeah, I'm sorry. I got sucked into the Jesus fandom wiki. I'm not gonna get any callers tonight, guys. We're just kind of hanging out. No one wants to call in and talk to me. I started streaming way too late. I'm not gonna get viewers when I stream that late.
Okay, so this is a video where I'm going to be respectfully disagreeing with Johnny Harris. I know these videos are kind of common these days, but look, if you follow my channel, you'll know that I love concepts from social science, economics, or wherever that explain what's going on at a deeper level. The ideas that explain the news. And this video is about one of those concepts I love to examine and pull apart, and I think he gets it wrong. Now, I love Johnny Harris's videos, learned a lot from them, but this is what we're meant to do, right? Debate, improve ideas, discourse. So, okay, let's start.
Our world is built on an idea. It's an idea so powerful that we fight and die for it. We draw our maps around it. It shapes our politics and forms the basis of our very identity, who we think we are. It's an idea so pervasive that you've probably never even stopped to notice how weird it is. Because here's the thing, this idea is completely made up. And even though it might feel like it's been around forever, it's actually newer than you think.
I actually love it when people say, like, Trump loves America, he hugged the flag. And I'm like, bro, that's exactly what people do that would want to fake love their country is hug the symbol. Like, it's easy to hug the symbol. Like, you can do that very easily. I would argue, like, of course Hitler loved Germany. He wore a swastika and, like...
That idea is called the nation.
Any music takes? I don't know what's going on musically lately. I don't really know. I know that one song that's like, riding in my GNX with Anita Baker and the tape deck. It's gonna be a sweet love. I'm seeing a Kendrick concert in May, so I'll be at a Kendrick concert. That'll be cute.
It says that a country is more than just the land drawn into a set of borders. It's actually a giant community that is united by heritage and identity. It says that the people, the land, the state, they're all one thing. That thing is called a nation. You're not just a person who happens to live in a place called America. You're American, or Brazilian, or Japanese, or Mexican, or Egyptian, Nigerian, Dutch, Micronesian. But let's stop a moment to learn the story of where this idea came from, and how it took over everything. Because once you do, so much about our world suddenly makes sense.
Okay, so that's the intro, and already we've got the key idea, the nation, nationalism. The idea that each state has a nation, and each of us is, as he puts it, part of a giant community that is...
The swastika was stolen by Hitler? Well, it's a different symbol from what Hitler used. Okay. I know what you're referring to, but also... also, the cross was stolen by the KKK as well. But the KKK's use of the cross and the way that they depicted it is bad, right? You would agree with that? And the Iron Cross is bad, like Pete Hegseth has?
Is united by heritage and identity. And it gives us our national identity. American, Brazilian, Japanese,
No Name
whatever.
Sundial.
Harris is saying this.
I listen to Doechii. I don't know about No Name. I don't know about anyone. That one song is annoying. It's stuck in my head. My anxieties.
This is a new thing and, quote, completely made up. To make this argument, he's joined by a guest, and they explore how this idea is based on a series of myths.
We think that borders like France's formed because they contained people with the same ethnicity who spoke the same language, right? But when you overlay a map of the actual genetic makeup in Europe, it looks like this. Now look at France, and you'll see that any given part of the country has closer genetic links with foreigners across the border than they do with their own countrymen.
And I think they're right. There isn't really any genetic basis for individual nationalities. This is a pseudo-scientific idea. It was popular in the 1800s, associated with lots of thinkers that were popular with Hitler and the Nazis and people like that. But
well, let me tell you, I know a couple other thinkers, namely the vice president and president of the United States of America, who would also agree with and Vladimir Putin. Yeah, think about that too, the arguments of they're ethnic Russians, and Hitler said that, you know, they're ethnic Germans in the countries they invaded. And I wonder if Trump's going to say that Canadians are ethnic Americans.
But it's worth saying that not every supporter of national identity has seen it in these ethnic or racial terms. For example, in England, there's this famous poem by Daniel Defoe, a true-born Englishman, and he mocks this whole idea that there's some pure racial basis to being English, pointing out we are really all foreigners ourselves, the result of centuries of migration, Celts, Romans, Anglo-Saxons, Vikings, Normans. As he writes, fate jumbled them together, God knows how, whatever they were, they're true-born English now. And he's not against being English. He even highlights the English nation's wit, wealth, and courage. In other words, you don't need to believe that nations have some kind of pure ethnic ancestry to embrace a national identity. It's almost like there are different types of nationalism. Okay, so that's the first belief, and we can agree that's a myth, but then we get another.
Okay, so countries aren't correlated with ethnicity, but what about, like, language?
This is great. They look at this map of France showing all the different dialects and languages, explaining that only in this area did people speak anything like modern French. And I love the languages part of this video. It's wild to think that not too long ago, hardly anyone spoke the national language. There's a bit later on where they're talking about Italy, and they say that...
I mean, I'll take calls on a little bit. I'm just watching this video real quick about nationalism. You could try to learn something. Should we fund their war? No, we should help Ukraine defend itself from Russia's invasion, where they kill civilians and kidnap children, because of the deals we have, and also for global stability, which is beneficial for all countries involved. Especially when America has no boots on the ground. We just gave basic aid. Europe gave more aid. America's ranked 17th in total aid to Ukraine in terms of GDP. So yeah, we should be helping Ukraine defend themselves. It's a very easy calculus there. Extremely easy calculus, actually. If only the kids knew the history of the USSR. If only kids knew the history. Their history's taught by Asmongold and Donald Trump. They're screwed, dude. They're cooked.
That at the time of Italian unification, only 2.5% of Italians spoke Italian. I mean, that's crazy. Okay.
The guy's like, so yeah, you do want to fund their war? Nope, I do not want to fund their war. You know, things have nuance. You have to. If you don't have nuance, you don't have a brain. You got to think a little bit harder, buddy. I know you might have a little bit of an overheating issue with your brain, and I know your hardware might like start crumbling inside your little skull, but you need to just like think a little bit harder.
Okay, so that's another belief. We can agree that one's a myth too. But again, not every country needs a common language to have a national identity. I mean,
Oh, I want the new JID album, JID. It's JIDN.
Canada has more than one. Wait. Switzerland.
I love Switzerland.
Johnny,
Switzerland's a fake country, bro. Switzerland is just a bunch of rich people. Like, I don't even think Switzerland counts as a country, bro.
Obsessed with Switzerland. You're always making videos about Switzerland.
Switzerland's not a country.
Is famous for having more than one language. It's got like 3, 4, I can't remember how many exactly, but there's a lot of languages in Switzerland, and that doesn't mean that Swiss people don't
In America, we speak one language.
Have a national identity. And even if we accept that language is important for...
You fake hard guy. I'm not fake hard, I'm just not stupid. You don't want the war to end? Yeah, I want the war to, I want Russia to stop invading, but if they're not going to stop invading, I want to support Ukraine. Obviously, I want the war to end. I never wanted Russia to start the invasion. It's not even a war, really. Calling it a war is crazy, to be honest. It's an invasion. And like the war between Israel and Palestine, like that's not even a war. Like it's a very one-sided conflict. And Israel, even from the best argumentation, you'll say that it's Israel versus a terrorist group, if you want to say Hamas, even if they are the governing body of, technically, of that area in Gaza. But still, the word war is said too much. Trump had no wars.
For national identity, which I actually do think is true. That doesn't mean that countries aren't real. Okay, I think we need to pause here and talk about the terms or language in this video because it's confusing.
Okay, so Max has sufficiently convinced me that countries aren't real, that they're made up in our minds, and that France was not a real country until recently.
Okay, so first the word country. One way to understand country is sovereign state, member of the UN, has a foreign policy, that kind of thing. I actually think this is what most people think of when they think of the word country. And if that's what you mean by country, well then obviously countries have existed for ages, long before the 1800s, which is when Johnny Harris is saying that nationalism and national identity was invented. So I don't think he means that. I think he means a kind of new idea of a country, which is not just a state, but a state which has this nation inside it, right? A nation state. And obviously if nations are a new thing, then well, countries have to be a new thing. But even if we're defining countries in those terms and we're saying countries are new, that doesn't mean they aren't real. I mean, obviously nation states, countries are real. They're everywhere.
Obsessed with the country of Switzerland.
Someone said we should have stayed out of Ukraine. As if we're in Ukraine, bro. We're cooked. We are cooked. We are cooked, bro. We are cooked. We're not in Ukraine. America's not in Ukraine. I hate everything, bro. We're more in... Ah, man. We're cooked, bro. We're cooked. Russia has nukes. Yeah, Russia does have nukes, so that's even more of a reason to help defend Ukraine. You're right. Ukraine can't win. Well, actually, I think we should help defend Ukraine because Russia kills and grapes people, and they steal children and kidnap them, and we should not be helping Russia. And Donald Trump is helping Russia right now. There's a lot of different reasons. I'm too tired to explain to you. I don't have enough viewership to explain it, but come around another day, bro.
Switzerland and Swiss culture and everything Swiss.
I'm guessing this is just clickbait going wrong, right? He wanted a provocative title, and actually in the comments of the video, there's a list of all the different titles that Johnny Harris has used, and the one he's actually ended up, which is what it is right now, is How Humans Invented Nationalism. But still, this is a bit confusing because just because something is new or invented doesn't mean it's false or untrue. I mean, there's lots of concepts or ideologies. I mean, all of them, socialism, liberalism, democracy, they all have.
Thank you, Spree, for the gifted membership, Spree. Thank you. Thank you. Trump has 0 wars if you don't count dead people. Oh my god, yeah. It's crazy times. Trump is anti-war, bro. Trump is anti-war. I don't care if he increased drone strikes by 400 times and increased conflict all throughout Yemen and abandoned our Kurdish allies and led to the eventual collapse of the Afghanistan government by negotiating with the Taliban and releasing 5,000 or 6,000 Taliban fighters. Like, who cares? Dude, nothing matters. Nothing's even real.
Have a start. It's not this quality of having a beginning that makes them true or false or not. I think it's the myths part which is most important. I think the model is people's belief in nationalism is based on what this is.
Someone said, why can't you speak Spanish? And the other guy said, because I'm not from Mexico, bro. I hate everyone. I wish America was focused on more languages. I wish they would have pushed it on me, bro. I wish they would have forced me to learn a language when I was a kid, bro. I really wish they would have forced
Facts. Me. But if we can see that it's based on myths, then it follows the whole thing is false. It's almost like a religion, right? Like Christianity is based on the belief that Jesus rose from the dead. And if that belief is false, then the rest of it crumbles. I think that's kind of the model that Harris has in his head when he's talking about nationalism. Okay, so we're going to focus on the myths part of it, which is good.
Trump opposed the Iraq War. Oh, okay. Yeah, that mattered when he was a private citizen. That definitely, that mattered a lot. Thank you. I mean, we have a record of him as president. We could look up the military record with Trump as president. Like, for example, ask yourself, like, how did Trump have 4 times more combat deaths than Biden did?
Good, because now we've got another one.
If Biden was so war hungry and Trump wasn't, how? Why did Trump ruin the Iran deal? And why does Trump want to... Just think about these things. You can Google it. You can Google what these people do. You're going off what they say. Never go off what politicians say. Go off what they do.
Someone living down here, hundreds of kilometers from the King's Palace in Paris, there was no concept of being French. They probably identify with the people in their village or their town, but that is about it.
Okay, so not too long ago, no one, or at least no ordinary person, felt French or any kind of national identity. That's a new thing. So then Harris goes on to tell the story of how that national
Latinos keep to themselves. They speak English. Or no, they segregate themselves. A Latino family lives on my road. I'm pretty sure only half of them speak English. I have to talk to the damn kids. You know what? If I were them, I would not want to talk to you either, bro.
Identity started and how it spread in France. It's a story about the French Revolution, Napoleon's wars, urbanization, mass media, railways, and there's a solid basis in history for this account. You've got famous thinkers like Ernest Gellner making this argument. He said, nationalism is not the awakening of nations to self-consciousness. It invents nations where they do not exist. Benedict Anderson is another famous thinker on this subject. He famously called nations imagined communities. And the broad thrust of this story, I'm not going to disagree with. And this list of factors about how it spread in the 1800s, it's good. It's a good list. Now, I do have a few quibbles. It's not the main thing I'm here for, but I don't know. It's my video. So first,
there was no concept of being French.
Now, I'm not an academic historian, but the idea that no one but elites had any conception of national identity before the French Revolution, I mean, this really is overstatement. It's a bit difficult because commoners, peasants, didn't leave lots of records, and obviously the story varies between countries. But certainly in England, it's not hard to find evidence that long before 1800 and the French Revolution, ordinary people had some sense of English national identity. According to this medieval historian, as early as England...
I'm so happy Hassan Piker gets to interview Bernie Sanders and AOC. I'm so happy. I'm so happy he gets to interview them. I'm so happy. I'm so happy with the state of America. I'm so happy.
Well, with France in the 1300s, there was an English national identity emerging. Sermons in church, proclamations in the marketplace, all talk about the English nation. There were popular anti-French songs, chronicles, poems. Then in the late 1500s, you got Shakespeare. I mean, Shakespeare's always going on about England.
And upon this charge, cry God for Harry, England, and St. George!
I mean, there's just lots of examples of this. As early as 900s, you've got coins that say King of the English. In the 1600s, the idea of freeborn Englishmen was a phrase used by the Levellers, a populist political movement. Actually, wait there a minute. Look, got it on T-Towel. This is merch. I don't have any merch. Okay. So there's a historical debate about when this started, but everyone agrees that it started off weak and it grew over time. Next.
Countries are a new thing, but here's the deal. Our leaders don't want us to know that. In France, the ruling elite at the time didn't want to admit that France was kind of a new thing. That would sound way too weak and delicate. So they kind of constructed a national mythology that implied that France has kind of been around forever.
So here we have the idea that nationalism was all created by elites indoctrinating the masses. And again, this is overstatement. If your story about nationalism is just about elites, then you're missing how much humans desire a group identity. I mean, this point was even made by the guy who really started the whole idea.
Just remember, I'll take calls tomorrow. I started streaming too late. I'm just hanging out. I'm probably gonna get off soon anyway. Just remember that when we talk to people that support Trump, every single thing Trump says is an objective lie. So the only goal is how we can convince people and be convincing. We have to get our set of facts and just try to be convincing. That's most of the fight. So don't get too upset when people say things that are not true in chat. They have been taught to understand things in the world in a completely incorrect fashion. Our entire goal here is to be more convincing somehow of median voters. And if people are in chat screaming dumb stuff, they're not really median voters. They're probably not even old enough to vote. Yeah, it's like the interview was dope and unedited. Every interview Trump does is edited on Fox News. Every interview, and you guys are just like, I don't know. You don't understand basic things about the world, and it really hurts your judgment.
Idea of nationalism being an invention, arguing nationalism took off partly because as people moved to the cities, they needed a new form of connection. And more generally, if you've watched my channel, you'll know that I find these kinds of explanations unconvincing. There's an instinct to think that any idea that you find uncompelling, conservatism, anti-immigration, voting for Trump, must be the result of elites manipulating the masses, which is just a bad model of human psychology. I mean, think about it. If it was so easy for elites to manipulate nationalist feeling, the British wouldn't have had so many problems in Ireland, India, and many other places.
Trump can talk about a subject that makes sense. Yeah, he makes sense because he doesn't understand it, and you don't either. So you think he makes sense because he's explaining it in a way that requires no understanding to interpret it. So like, if I want to explain a complicated topic to you, you're not going to understand it because it's complicated. But Trump is just going to say like it's stupid. Like he's going to be a dumbass and say something in a dumbass way that makes no sense at all. And you're going to be like, oh, that makes sense. It only makes sense because you did not need to learn anything. He just dumbs everything down and lies about it to the point where you can like understand what he's trying to get across. But it's mostly emotional appeals, like tariffs, like tariffs, like healthcare, like the Department of Education. I guarantee you don't know what the Department of Education does. I guarantee you, you don't know. You do not know what it does. I guarantee you, you don't. I guarantee you. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. I guarantee you don't know what that does. I guarantee you don't know how the checks and balances work in our Constitution. I guarantee you think 2020 election was stolen. You know, all those things. If you think the 2020 election was stolen, you are literally in a cult. You're in a cult. You're in a cult. Nice. Okay, here's what I'm gonna do. Yeah, Trump makes them feel good, and the truth makes them insecure. Yeah. Call tomorrow if you want to debate. I'm gonna get off. I'm going to bed. I'm going to bed. I'll stream earlier tomorrow. Tomorrow's Saturday, right? Yeah, it's Saturday. No, it's Friday. Crap. Whatever. Tomorrow's Friday night. Friday nights are usually really good. Okay, I'll stream a little bit earlier tomorrow. And we'll do a hardcore call-in debate stream. Thank you guys for the donations. I got busy today. So I'm sorry. It was low energy. We'll be back at it tomorrow. We'll take a lot of call-ins. Join Discord if you want to talk more. But Fridays are usually good. And then Saturday I'll be free during the day too. So I'll probably try to stream during the day a little bit. Riding in my GNX with Anita Baker.
New donation from God Emperor. $20 Jolah Isa been a minute. How you doing?
Thank you, God Emperor. Thank you, God Emperor. Thank you, God Emperor. God Emperor, where are you at? I gotta be like, I gotta be like Matt Walsh. You know how Matt Walsh speaks in that really fake voice? He does like voice training to be more masculine. Where he's like, his normal voice is like chill, like right now. If I'm giving a speech, for example, you adjust your voice to make it more punchy or more like bassy for like a speech. And like if I'm being quiet, or like Matt Walsh, he does that thing where you're like, you sound like a bro, and I really have this political opinion, and we need to make sure we get to the bottom of this story. And I really care about that. The trans are killing all the kids, and really the evil left thinks that they're smart. Like listen to Matt Walz, whatever, Walz boy, whatever the hell. Thank you for all the donations, guys. You're crazy. Thank you guys. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Why are you guys donating? I'm not even doing anything tonight. You guys are too nice. Thank you, God Emperor. Thank you, CM. $10 for making the Trump sexuals look dumb. Thank you. And RQ, thank you so much for $10. Happy dreams. Thank you. You're too nice. Now I feel pressured to actually come on stream later or earlier tomorrow. You're pressuring me to do good at my job. Brian, come back. You just don't get it. No, Brian, I'm very well versed in policy. I'm going to say that more often because I guess Trump can just brag about shit and not look condescending. So like I'm very well versed in policy. So we can have a discussion on how the world works and we could really talk about some shit if you want. Like for real. Like call in tomorrow. We'll do some streams. I'm not going to I feel like I'm not going to hide my power level anymore with that kind of shit. It's just don't take the bait, Jolah lies. Well, I mean, for any parasocial relationship, you have to be abused to love someone. That's why Trump keeps on hiding the Epstein files, right? Also because Trump's in them. Wait, Brian, why does Trump hide the Epstein files? Why did he lie about the Epstein files? Brian, tell me why. Brian, why is Trump hiding the Epstein files, bro? Nah, bro, just tell me why is Trump hiding the Epstein files? Tell me that, Brian, tell me. Homie. You don't know, brother? He said, I don't know, brother. You're so cool, bro. Brother. You're so freaking cool, bro. See, many of my main viewers are talking in Discord right now. They don't love me anymore. Shaking my head. We all grow up too soon. We all grow up. We all grew up. Brian, where are the Epstein files, bro? Brian, where are the Epstein files? Brian. Why is Trump in them? Trump, Elon, and Elon's brother are in them. You see that Elon Musk is going to get briefed on our secret plan against China tomorrow? Where's the Discord? Don't be weird, dude. Here's the Discord if you guys want to join the Discord. Here you go. We got more shit under Trump. I don't know what the hell that means. We got more shit under Trump. What are they going to say when the economy actually crashes? Are they going to finally break? Do you guys think, or are they like when Trump like crashes the economy and starts just like killing liberals in America? Are they still going to be like things were so much better under Trump, as if Trump isn't currently president? They keep bringing up how things were so much better under Trump, as if Trump is not currently president. Have you noticed that? It really is an abusive relationship where they're remembering the past still, and they think it's the current, the present. Like, he still says, or Trump supporters still say things were so good in Trump's things were so good under Trump, bro. Things were so good, like he's currently president. True, Manny. True. Bye education. Well, that's just gonna hurt poor kids in blue states. I guarantee you they're gonna do some shit like only give money to red states. I guarantee you, some shit like that's gonna happen. They're really bad. Yeah, nothing will sway the mental slavery. Yeah. Trump is Jesus to them. Yeah. Well, like in California, the states that give a lot of money to the federal government, I am mad about that too, because like when they cut veterans programs, they cut Meals on Wheels, they cut like USAID or whatever, USAID and funding for farmers. They cut our national freaking parks, bro. Like there's thousands of campsites in America now that are offline because we're not funding them anymore. Very, very cheap campsites, our parks, our state parks, national parks. Like, I want my tax dollars going there. Where are my freaking tax dollars going? If it's not going to the deficit, it's not going to these programs, if it's going to the tax cuts for the ultra wealthy. That's where it's going. So kill the little tiny things that people in America get to give a tax cut to the ultra wealthy. Assholes. Not you guys, but your God, your king. That's your king? Disgusting. I've seen what makes you cheer, bro. I've seen what makes you cheer. Riding in my GNX with Anita Baker in the tape deck. It's gonna be a... Take it to the internet and I'm gonna take it... What? Why do you guys are too nice, dude. You guys are kind of going crazy tonight. I'm not gonna lie. Someone donated $10 again. Initials LW saying keep exposing lies. Thank you for $10. Thank you. You guys are too nice tonight. This is not even a real stream. You guys are still donating. Thank you. Lil Wayne? I don't like Lil Wayne, bro. I don't like Lil Wayne. I like a couple songs. I don't like them though. My Amazon Alexa just made a noise. I'm really scared, bro. I'm really freaking scared, bro. That was not cool. Yeah. That's the crazy part too, is if like all the states had their own federal funding, like given back to them for their programs, everyone would move to blue states, right? Because the blue states would have all the money in the country. Your wife knows. I'll insult him by sending him 10. Yeah, I said thank you. Yeah, Lori. Okay, Lori Wolf. Thank you. Thank you, Lori Wolf. Thank you, Lori Wolf, for $10. You realize I say initials because some people don't want their full names said. I'll just say first names, okay? I'll just say first names. What do you mean name a tax cut? What the? Wait, just one tax cut, name it? What? This first chat is crazy. Yeah, red states have nice roads because no one uses them, bro. Like, all the back roads are nice as shit. Like, unless if you go through Appalachia, like old coal towns that don't have anything in them at all, like, the back roads are nice. They're all well paved, like... Thank you for... Thank you for another donation, Casey. Thank you. Casey sent $10 to say, sent me $10 for someone said only $25, not anymore. To say someone has TDS, bro. Yeah. Soy boy, you got me. Brian, come on, bro. You guys keep donating to the stream. You guys are being nice. You guys are being nice tonight. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Really appreciate it. Only the right has TDS. Yeah, Trump dick. So, God, no, wait. I did not. Chill! Who the hell was about to say that, bro? I did not say that. But that's what TDS does stand for. Trump did something.
New donation.
Thank you for
from definitely not
$10.
Sif. $10. I love pointless hype trains.
Thank you for $10. Pointless hype trains. Yeah. The pointless hype trains are kind of crazy, man. I don't know what's going on. You are keeping me on though. All these $10 donations. Thank you for the donation. All these $10 donations are keeping me on. My eyes are itchy, bro. You know the allergy feeling? By the way, people were saying yesterday that I look hot with glasses on. Like better than when I don't have glasses. I was thinking like, does that mean I'll get more donations if I wear glasses? My eyes are itchy, bro. Man, you're not supposed to itch them. I gotta itch them though. You gotta itch them.
New donation from the Deep
Thank
State.
you, Deep State.
$10. Phenomenal content.
Thank you, Deep State. Jolah came to my house and forced me to vote for Kamala. Yeah, I voted for Kamala Harris 18,000 times. It did not help though, sadly. Yo, hear me? Thank you for the donation. You guys are I don't even know what's going on, bro. I don't even know what's going on right now. Thank you. Thank you guys. Thank you guys. It's insane because like you guys, I don't know, is today a special day or something? Because this is the highlight in my career because I'll do 5-hour streams where I'm debating people constantly. I take like 18 phone calls that are the most painful thing ever. And I'll probably get 1/3 of the donations. And I'm just sitting here with 1/5 of the audience watching. And you guys are just like randomly donating to me. And I like it, but I'm it's payday. I guess so. Thank you. Oh man. Wait, I don't even know. I didn't even check Venmo. I don't know if I want Venmo'd because I don't even check that. Okay, no one Venmo'd, I don't think. Okay. Yeah, no one Venmo'd. I was scared for a second that I missed someone. It's Jolah Appreciation Day. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, M. M sent a $5 super chat.
New donation from God.
Guys!
$10 hype train.
Thank you for $10. Thank you for $5, M. M said the donation is from Brian. He was too shy to tell you how much he loves the show. Thanks, Brian. Brian, thank you for all of the donations. Did Brian leave? Brian. Brian. Where's Brian at, bro? Brian's still here. He's got to still be here, bro. It's been a tough week, guys. You're making my week go up, you know? Thank you, guys. Thank you. I will always appreciate what you've done for the cause as we go into the camps together. For me saying TDS on screen, saying that it's Trump, you know, Trump, you know what I mean. I don't know if I might have to get back on here and talk to people now, bro. I feel like I have to. I feel like I gotta go take my contacts out and get back online, do a couple call-ins. Is anyone here that would call in if I restarted my stream? Is anyone in chat right now that would actually call in? Is anyone in chat right now that would call in if I restart my stream? I feel like I got too many donations. Yeah, do it. Call in. Who's gonna call in? Yes? Oh, there's Extreme Dad. Oh no. Okay. Alright. Extreme Dad is here. Okay, I'm gonna restart my stream. I need to go take my contacts out. My eyes are itchy. I'm just gonna chat with your boyfriend. It will be open in a second. I'll take both of you guys, both of you callers. Okay, but give me a second. I have 2 streams in my profile at all times. I have the regular stream, which is horizontal, with, you know, the full sideways stream. Then I have the YouTube Shorts. Okay, I have YouTube Shorts and I have the horizontal stream. Oh, I'll update the weekly goal. The weekly goal went up a lot. I feel like I don't know. The weekly goal, including yesterday, is now at $150 out of 500 for non-YouTube donos. That's an aspirational goal. It's not going to happen all the time, but... Okay, so, like I said, I'm going to redirect you from the YouTube Shorts to the regular stream. You guys can chat in there. And then I will start a new YouTube Shorts stream and take your phone calls. But I need to go take my contacts out and get my glasses and all that kind of stuff. I'll be right back. Go to the other stream until then, and then you can call in. Thank you, guys. The lead, Jolah, fights every day for truth. He's a patriot and we appreciate him. Thank you. Howdy. You guys donated so much money. I have to keep going now. Thank you. Crazy. Crazy, crazy, crazy. All right.